Can you still feel the flutter of fabric around your ankles as you strutted down the sidewalk, each step a quiet rebellion against the ordinary? Bell-bottom pants weren't just a fashion trend, they were a statement that echoed through shopping malls, music festivals, and even the classroom halls. There's something unforgettable about running your hands over smooth denim or colourful corduroy, hearing the faint swish and tap as your flared hems brushed the floor. In the 1970s, bell-bottoms became a symbol of change. From disco-lit dance floors to peaceful protests, this wide-legged style said you were marching to your own beat. Remember the way friends would compare patterns and argue over the wildest prints, or how you'd borrow your sibling's favorite pair for a night out at the local roller rink? For a moment, these pants made everyone stand a little taller and feel a little bolder. What stories do your bell-bottoms still whisper to you? Let's take a step back in time to uncover the true power and joy these iconic pants brought to a generation, because their history is about more than just fashion. Picture this. It's the early 1970s, and as you peer into the wardrobe for something different, bell-bottom pants seem to call your name. Their dramatic flares a promise of fun and freedom. But long before these pants became the signature of disco, peace, and youthful rebellion, they began their life in a very different world, a world filled with saltwater spray and the creak of wooden decks. The true roots of bell-bottom pants stretch all the way back to the early 19th century, where their first wearers were not teenagers grooving to rock and roll, but hard-working sailors of the US Navy. Yes, you heard that right. Bell-bottoms started not on the dance floor, but on warships. Sailors favored wide-legged trousers for practical reasons. The loose fit made it easy to roll the legs up for swabbing decks or wading ashore, and if a sailor fell overboard, the flared bottoms filled with air and helped him float, a surprising bit of nautical ingenuity. It's one of those origin stories that make you look at a pair of pants differently, isn't it? The flare had a function before it ever had flair. But how did these utilitarian uniforms make the leap from military necessity to youthful sensation? The journey took twists and turns, passing through eras and cultures. For decades, bell-bottoms remained ship-bound, their design unchanged, until the winds of the 1960s began to shift. The post-war years brought not just peace and prosperity, but also an entire generation looking for ways to shake off the grey conformity of the 1950s. Fashion, like music and art, became a way to test the boundaries. Suddenly borrowed styles, often from working people, bohemians, or even the armed forces, were reinterpreted by young visionaries. It wasn't just a matter of fashion magazines dictating what was in style. The late 60s and early 70s were all about grassroots change, and bell-bottoms found themselves caught in the updraft. First spotted in the counterculture scenes of San Francisco and London, bell-bottoms were a staple of artists, anti-war protesters, and musicians who wanted to turn their backs on the establishment. The flared leg became symbolic, wider, wilder, more open. Can you recall the way every new style seemed to promise a break with the past? Perhaps you found that first pair in a thrift store, their seams a little frayed, or maybe you saw your favorite band on television wearing a flare so bold it looked almost like wings. The timeline of bell-bottoms is full of sharp turns and surprising moments. Did you know that even before the 1970s heyday, certain motorcycle clubs and beatnik poets in the 1950s and early 60s experimented with slightly wider legs, seeking both practicality and nonconformity? While they didn't quite sport the classic dramatic flair that would later define the look, the seeds were already being sown. It's another fun twist in the story. Sometimes, what feels new is really a conversation with the past. But what truly set the stage for bell-bottom mania was the cultural cross-pollination happening in the late 60s. Peace marches, outdoor rock festivals, and college campuses buzzed with talk of change, and people wanted to look as different as they felt inside. Suddenly, high-waisted pants with dramatic bell flares showed up not only in tiny boutiques, but in mainstream department stores. Major designers took notice and began to put their own spins on the style. One of the lesser-known facts: some of the first bell-bottoms sold to the American youth market were actually made from surplus Navy uniforms, children of the Revolution, literally wearing the clothes of the old guard. This phase of fashion wasn't just about making a statement, it was about inclusion, creativity, and a shared longing to belong to something larger than yourself. Think about it. When was the first time you saw someone in your circle daring enough to wear bell-bottoms? Did it challenge your own sense of style or embolden you to take a chance? It's easy to forget now, but the earliest bell-bottom adopters often faced criticism or laughter. In a world where slim, Ivy League trousers were standard for young men and narrow skirts ruled for women, these bold new shapes marked clear territory. Wearing bell-bottoms in the early days meant declaring yourself part of a movement, a risk, yes, but an exhilarating one for many. As the 70s dawned, fashion exploded outward. Patterns grew more vibrant, the flares grew wider, and bell-bottoms became instantly recognizable signals of freedom. They started to appear everywhere, from TV sitcoms to the covers of Life and Rolling Stone magazines. Did you know that by 1972, bell-bottoms had climbed to the top of the sales charts in American department stores, outpacing jeans and slacks for the first time? It was as if the entire country had gotten the message. Bigger was better, and the era of the bell had arrived. But, as with any great movement, it wasn't just about what people were wearing, but how they felt when they wore it. Alongside the nostalgia, there's a sense of pride, the knowledge that we were there when bell-bottoms leaped from history's footnotes to the mainstream. Can you remember particular events or songs that seemed somehow linked to your favorite pair? Maybe you wore them on your first date or to a high school dance, or maybe they were your go-to for family reunions and block parties. It's stories like these that keep the memory of bell-bottoms alive, not only as a footnote in fashion history, but as real, living artifacts of an era that dared to dream out loud. As you picture those vibrant sidewalks filled with bold color and fearless flares, you might be wondering, what happened next? How did bell-bottoms move from their revolutionary roots into even greater popularity and transformation? The answer lies not only in style, but in the remarkable technological and material innovations that took the bell-bottom to dazzling new heights. As we look back on the remarkable journey of bell-bottom pants through the 1970s, it's clear these weren't just pieces of fabric stitched into a new silhouette. They carried with them stories, attitudes, and a genuine sense of possibility. We've traveled from their surprising naval origins, where utilitarian design met salty tradition, through their adoption by the bold thinkers and free spirits of the late 60s and early 70s. Along the way, bell-bottoms transformed from a quiet symbol of rebellion into a cross-generational phenomenon. We saw these pants evolve as designers experimented with vibrant patterns, different fabrics from heavy denim to corduroy, and even velvet, and as the evolution of the bell shape itself reflected the quickening pace of change in American society. Bell-bottoms didn't just rest on the legs of history's trendsetters, they strutted right into every corner of our lives. We wore them to school, family gatherings, backyard barbecues, and Friday night dances under shimmering disco balls. Bell-bottoms made their way into our living rooms in the form of television personalities, musicians pushing the boundaries of sound and style, and even the movies that defined our youth. For so many of us, slipping into a pair of bell-bottoms wasn't just following a fad, it was a badge of individuality, a chance to express color and courage, to blend in and stand out all at once. Whether you paired them with an embroidered peasant blouse, a leather vest, or a simple tee, the look always seemed somehow complete. infused with the confidence and energy of the times. Looking through old photo albums now, there's an undeniable warmth, a kind of gentle humour in seeing those wide flares and dramatic prints. They remind us of days filled with laughter, experimentation, and a spirit of togetherness. Bell-bottoms were more than a style, they were a movement, a shared language of youth, rebellion, and hope. They connected people across the country on small town sidewalks and city streets alike, and brought a sense of celebration to ordinary days. In so many ways, these pants captured the optimism and boldness of a generation determined to carve its own path and have fun doing it. They remind us now that fashion has the power to unite, to reflect our dreams, and to spark cherished memories years after the last pair was packed away. So, as you reflect on the era of the bell-bottom and all it meant, what stories do your own favourite pair still have to tell? Did they help you feel a little taller, a little freer, maybe even a little braver? Or perhaps they were at the centre of a memorable night out with friends, a first slow dance, or a family photo that always makes you smile. I invite you to share your most treasured bell-bottom memories right here in the comments. Let's see if we can bring those old stories back to life and remind each other of just how much we shared. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you'd like to revisit more iconic moments from our past together. And if you have friends or loved ones who'd appreciate this little walk down memory lane, consider sending this video their way. We've got many more nostalgic journeys ahead, so stay tuned. Because at the end of the day, bell-bottom pants were never just about what you wore, they were about how you felt, spirited, alive, and absolutely yourself. May we continue to carry that same sense of adventure with us wherever our journey takes us next.